her
All
hair
the
is
way
like
home.
this. She looks like one of those horror movie girls in the bathtub with her hair all spread out like this.
I started working at Bassett Furniture, and her best friend was my boss. And so I didn't know her at the time, of course. And I was single, and I was hoping that her best friend was single and was trying to get to know her best friend. She was married at the time.
Not me.
No,
Carolyn.
her best friend Carolyn was married at the time. But we would end up going out, and she would bring her, and we would end up going drinking. This is when we were a lot younger and drank way too late and woke up way too early. And I brought my friend along, and we just kind of hung out and went bowling, and lots of bowling and drinking and just just good times for a long time. Me and her ended up hooking up, and in the long scheme of things, after a divorce, my friend Gary ended up hooking up with her best friend Carolyn, and now they're married. You know, and so we spent a lot of time together, and they moved to Salt Lake 4 years ago. And they come out here and stay at Lawrence Welk every once in a while.
Escondido?
Is it considered Escondido? Yeah, over there.
Right off the 15.
It's what you're thinking of, yeah.
Okay.
And so we just saw them not too long ago, and they made a comment about how the vlogs that they watch on YouTube or whatever, the videos that they put up, it makes them feel like they're still a part of hanging out with us, and still see the kids growing up, like it's not such a disconnect.
Right.
It was like one of the first things Gary said when he saw us.
I never thought of it that way, but I was like, that's actually really cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So if nothing else, we're vlogging for them.
Yeah.
For you guys.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. Okay.
So Mom decided one Friday night, actually, she said, all right, so we need to get up early and go to San Diego to go pick up a refrigerator. And at this point, we had a refrigerator. And we had this old white one that we eventually got rid of. But and for whatever reason, I agreed to this.
Because you have to.
Because you didn't have a choice.
And so we got up early.
15.
And we packed all the girls into the car and Spencer into the car. And I think we had our breakfast with us because we were going that early. It was probably like 6 or 7, so rather early for all of us to get moving. And we made it down there in this long drive, and we were going up, and it was almost like on this hill, but then it was this little tiny cute little house up here, and there was a driveway up here, so we parked this.
Oh no, make that angle much steeper.
The driveway was like this.
Yes. Yes.
And so Mom was parked almost vertically on this slope.
Yes.
And we had to rock climb up the driveway with our rock picks.
Accurate.
And then the ladies came out, and they were actually really. There was an older lady, and then there was a younger lady. And I think they were roommates. And there was this little tiny, almost like I would consider it a basement, but not quite, because it was like
Crawl
small.
space.
It was just a crawl space of sorts. They had some random stuff in there, and there was this old white refrigerator. It was like, it looked cool. It was like a really old vintage refrigerator with a little metal handle and everything.
1960s, 50s.
And you open this thing, and it looked like a bomb went off in there. It's revolting, and we still have it in our garage because Mom didn't ever know what to do with it. But that's later down the road. And so we try and pull this thing out of this little tiny door that's probably only about this wide.
Not even.
That's a huge
not
door
even.
space.
Yeah, like that wide. That wide right there.
Yeah, about this wide.
The refrigerator.
The refrigerator was like this wide with the back on it.
And the door.
Because it had the door, and then it had that little back part with the coolant in it. Because this was one of the old ones where the coolant was on the outside of it. It wasn't even in the inside of it. And so we had to cut off the back of this thing, so coolant and toxic Freon is spraying everywhere.
It smelled so bad.
And it was awful. And at this point, the girls started crying. And this
The
was
little
when-
girls, our
the
little girls.
Yeah, not the roommates.
Not the women. They burst into tears.
No, the littlest girls are crying, and mom and I was in there, and then mom and I switched places so I could go calm Adeline down because she was freaking out about something, and then I went back up there, and after we had finally cut this back part off, thrown it out the door, just down the steep slope, and we had to take off the door because it would not fit there, so we had to disassemble this entire thing to pull it out of this little tiny door. We were yanking it. The two ladies were in the back trying to push it. Mom was running back and forth because the girls were freaking out, and Spencer was doing his best over here to try and calm everybody down, but it wasn't working. So the girls are screaming. I'm trying to work with these two ladies trying to get this behemoth out of there. I don't even want this thing anymore. I don't know why I'm here at 7 o'clock in the morning trying to get this old refrigerator out. And so we finally get it out. And the two ladies, and we finally get into the back of the van or whatever. And the two ladies say, all right, thank you so much for everything. And we thank them for their help. And we pack everything up except for the coolant piece because nobody wants that. And we couldn't close the back. So we had to strap this thing down, and so the two girls in the back wouldn't die of exhaust fumes. We had to roll down the windows and drive home the entire time. But then, so we're driving down the road. I kid you not, probably 250 feet down the road. Mom, no joke, Mom, she wasn't joking either. She was like, I think we should probably drop it off at this Goodwill up here. I don't even know if I really want to deal with this. We probably spent a good 30-40 minutes trying to do this all. And at this point I told Mom, no, we are taking this home. I don't want this, but after this work, this is now a commitment that I've made and an investment of my time and effort. And so we drive home, and every once in a while we'll smell the smell of exhaust because it's coming up the back and through. So we keep the windows rolled down, and then Adeline starts screaming in the back about it being windy. And when I mean screaming, I mean like, windy! Windy! And her
All
hair
the way home.
is like this. She looks like one of those horror movie girls in the bathtub with her hair all spread out like this. And her eyes are like rolled back in her head. She's like freaking out, like plastered against her seat from the wind. And then eventually we slow down at a stoplight. This isn't even on the freeway yet. We slow down at the stoplight. She's like breathing hard, like the breath was taken out of her. And she's like, oh, and stop. Oh, and stop. And we start up again, and she starts screaming again. And we make it on the freeway, and she kind of settles down. She's still like whining in the back, like sobbing, because it's just like, again, being plastered, but we would rather her have a hard ride home than be killed by carbon monoxide poisoning. And
Always
so,
a better choice.
yeah. So we finally get home along Emerald, and it slows down or whatever. I think there's a little bit of traffic. And Spencer has the nerve to ask Adeline after like an hour of screaming about it being windy, so was that windy? No, not windy. So we make it home, we pull this thing out and put it in the garage, and it stayed there. We never did anything with it. One of the worst Craigslist one of the hardest Craigslist finds ever is still sitting in that garage, filled with God knows what, botulism and just infesting. There's probably a forest in there now.
But it's gonna look awesome when I get it done.
Yep.
When? If.
When?
When.
When?
Yeah, so that's our Craigslist story.
Wow.